No, I think I lost my page, dog. Come on, man. No, we good. No, we're good. We're good. What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're looking at the Lions news for the day. Now, some of this news actually took place over the weekend, but it's still news. And we also have a top 3 list. Yeah, we usually bring top 5s, but today we're bringing a top 3. I'm sorry, but that's what we're doing today. So let's get it started. Alright, yeah, so welcome back to another video, everybody. This one should be kind of exciting. We're really looking at cornerbacks today, and we have some also really short news. You know what? I'm just going to throw it out there now. Matthew Stafford and Kelly Stafford are expecting a 4th child, so that's really awesome. Let's give a round of applause. Can we please roll the round of applause sound effect? You guys have one job, dog. What is that? Anyway, let's just clap. Okay, so good for them. They're having another child. That's awesome. Now, let's talk about our first news of the day. We don't have a lot of news, but it's kind of interesting anyways. It's Jeffrey Okudah. Now, Jeffrey Okudah during the Combine, obviously he was a guy that all Lions fans had an eye on. Well, most Lions fans had an eye on. If you're watching the Combine, I know it was super boring and it was really long, so if you weren't, I don't blame you. But Jeffrey Okudah was a guy that a lot of people wanted to look at. And Jeffrey Okudah looked real smooth, okay? He had the 40-yard dash under a 4.5, pretty solid. But then it came to the fact that he hurt himself, okay? Jeffrey Okudah actually ended up getting injured during the Combine. He was doing a drill, and he kind of just, backed up this way, and he, tripped, and he went for the ball. He kind of, fell, and he fell on his head and neck area, and a lot of people were worried, right? Because he went off with the medical staff. He was injured, right? He's injured. This is one of the biggest prospects, the best cornerback in the draft, and he's injured. What the heck's going on? Especially Lions fans are like, oh, my gosh, this might be the guy we take. I don't want him to be hurt. Obviously, injuries have been a big concern with us recently. But he did come back for the vertical jump and the broad jump. But he was asked, why did you come back? Like, what are you doing? Why would you come back? Came here to compete, and I'm not going out like that. Now, that's a pretty cool way to say it. I'm not going to lie. That's pretty fire. If someone asks you again, they're like, I'm not going out like that. You sound like you're on a mission, and he probably was on a mission to do really, really well. And he did well. He had a 41-inch vertical jump, which is obviously insane. Okay, now for people, Jones had a 45.5, but it is what it is. All right, I'm not saying anything or anything, but I said something. Either way, Jeffrey Okudah did really well when he was healthy throughout the Combine, but he did come back, which was a huge thing. That's really what it came down to. The fact that he came back shows us that he's probably pretty healthy. He's also going to have the pro day and everything coming up. He's fine, okay? I don't think it's going to affect anything. He's all good. Nothing really to be worried about here, which is a good thing. Now, there are some players that were holding back their leg. I'm worried more about those guys than necessarily Jeffrey Okudah because he seemed fine, and that's definitely a good thing. Now, keeping on the thought of a cornerback and drafting a guy like Jeffrey Okudah, what about Darius? Well, as you guys can tell from the thumbnail and possibly the title, we are going to be talking about 3 possible trade destinations for Matthew. We're going to talk about 3. We are going to be talking about 3 potential trade destinations. I said tree. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's been a long day. 3 potential trade destinations for Darius Slay. Now, there's definitely more destinations. All right, there's more than 3. I think a lot of people have a lot of destinations. I mean, there's one on here Pro Football Focus put out, which I'll say it now. They said the Bengals. I didn't put the Bengals on here. I was doing my list, and they said Bengals. And I was like, Bengals? I don't have that one. There's a lot of destinations. I'm pretty sure we talked about this before, but yeah, there's a lot of places that you can go. But these are my top 3 right now. And, I hate to talk about this because I do like Darius Slay. He's one of my favorite players. However, I just have a feeling. I have some feeling that he's not going to be back next season. Not saying he won't. I would be okay if he is back. Don't worry about it. But I'm just worried that he won't be back. And if the Detroit Lions can get a good deal, I wouldn't be surprised them trading it. I actually wouldn't be too mad as long as they get a good deal in return. So my top 3, coming in at number 3, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Now the Seattle Seahawks, a few reasons. One reason, on Twitter, they're already, trying, a lot of players are trying to get Darius Slay to come there. People, obviously, too. A lot of players are trying to convince him to go there. But Quandre Diggs and Darius Slay seem to have a very good friendship going on. I'm not exactly sure if that's true, but it seems like it. You go on Twitter all the time, him and Diggs are always just, retweeting each other's stuff. Obviously, it doesn't mean you're friends because you're just on Twitter, but they're always talking to each other. They just seem to have a really good relationship, a good bond. Obviously, when, Quandre Diggs left, Darius Slay was super upset. A lot of people were upset about this when Quandre Diggs left. Darius Slay was really upset about it, and they just seem to have a really good relationship and friendship, and they just I think they could want to play together and want to get back with each other, and that's always huge. It's all about having relationships on a team. If you have a relationship with your teammates and you like your teammates, you're going to play a lot harder, you're going to play better. Playing for your teammates is what it really comes down to. And that's not to say he doesn't like people in Detroit. I think he likes the Lions players as well. But I do think he already has a nice relationship built with a guy like Quandre Diggs, which is, something that could automatically make him actually interested in going there. Also, the Seattle Seahawks do have a solid draft pick. The Seattle Seahawks hold the 27th pick in the draft. They have a few draft picks, so they actually have a lot of different options that they could go with. Obviously, we know they used to be called the Legion of Boom. Now they could be called the Legion of Doom. Just came up with that. That was awful. Legion of Coverage, guys. Legion of Lions. Legion of Lions. They're basically the old Lions. I don't know what you could call it. You guys can think of a cool nickname if you want. But I do think Seattle Seahawks are a team that definitely deserves to be on here. They have the 27th pick in the draft. They have the cap space to do it. So either they could just give us the 27th straight up, which honestly I wouldn't be mad about, or they could look at a deal like a 59th and their 123rd, which would be their second round pick and their fourth round pick for Darius Slay. I think that's kind of where I would put the cutoff, right? A second and a fourth. If you give us your first round pick, I ain't mad about it, because if you guys watch my Bob Quinn video, he does really good in the first round. So first round pick could definitely help out for sure. And, a couple of honorable mentions before we keep going. The Raiders are an honorable mention. No one knows what's going on with the Raiders. They're the Raiders, but they might make a move like that just because no one knows what's going on. Obviously the Bengals, because Pro Football Focus said that. If you guys have any, let me know in the comments below. Look, if you guys have a different one than I do, don't worry about it. There's definitely other ones out there that you can have. These are just 3 that I came up with. Coming in at number 2, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles have been an interesting team for Darius Slay for a while now, and it makes sense. They have money to do it. They need to upgrade their secondary. Well, they will have the money to do it if they have to, okay? They can get rid of guys. Ronald Darby may be out. Jalen Mills could be out. They can get rid of guys to bring in the cap. At the same time, their 2 biggest needs right now look like cornerback/secondary and wide receiver. So obviously, if you get a cornerback, one of the best in the league in Darius Slay, you're helping to fill that need. So they could have the cap space. They have the need to bring him in, and they also have the ability to possibly trade for him. Now, they do have a first-round pick, which sits at number 21, which, personally, that's kind of what I would be asking for. But if the Detroit Lions want to play the boring route, then they could ask for a guy like Sidney Jones, who Sidney Jones is also due for a contract extension. Now, we saw this by ESPN when ESPN offered it. Personally, if I'm taking Sidney Jones, I want a second-round pick with him. Obviously, I'd rather just have the first-round pick, and obviously, I have a higher asking price than maybe the Lions do. I don't know. The Lions haven't gotten a deal yet. They could be having a high asking price too. I don't know what his value is necessarily. We know that he's a talented player. We also know that he's set to get paid a lot of money and that he's not the youngest player, okay? So really, the only reason that he's going to get, that you could ask for a lot, is because he was just so good of a player when he was with Detroit. So that's why you could ask for a lot. We know that ESPN offered Sidney Jones and a third-round pick. However, if we bring in Sidney Jones, we're going to have to pay him. It'd be less than Slay, but we're still going to have to pay someone right away. So, it's not Darius Slay level either. So that one's kind of risky with a third-round pick, which is a good pick, but, it's a little bit risky. I would say Sidney Jones is possibly a second, or again, just a first-round pick, and we're good. We're good to go. If you just give us your first-round pick, you guys worry about the cap space. Okay, So coming in at number 1, the final team I have on here is the Houston Texans. Now, the Houston Texans are kind of an interesting one. As I looked a little bit deeper into teams that could possibly fit Darius Slay trade, Houston Texans made a lot of sense to me, okay? Houston was very bad against the pass last season. They ranked 27th in touchdowns allowed passing, 29th in pass yards allowed. They were just not a good team defensively when it came to against the pass. So that means they need to upgrade that secondary. And we saw when the Chiefs played the Texans, Texans started off real good. All of a sudden, the Chiefs just kept dotting them up. And they're like, wow, we just cannot stop this team, which a lot of teams can't. But, that means you're going to have some secondary help. They have a really good team over there. Houston does, pretty young too. So adding a guy like this could really help out and maybe put them over the top. Like I said, they weren't very good last season. Now, they don't have a first-round pick. From what I'm able to tell, they don't. No, they don't have a first-round pick. But they do have a second-round pick. So I would say if you're trying to get a Houston trade, I would say possibly a second and maybe the fourth round once again, like I was asking for, 57 and 101. Obviously, you can get a player return as well. I didn't really see any players I love, but there's a lot of other teams out there for trade destinations. I mean, we talked about the Saints. There's a lot of teams that could be looking to have Darius Slay and bring him in because he's a very good player. It's just who's willing to pay that big contract, because you really don't want to bring him in just as a rental. So there you go. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think? What are some other teams that would fit the Darius Slay trade? And how do you guys feel? What would you be asking for? What's your asking price? Not what you think the Lions are asking for. What's your asking price? Make sure you let me know in the comments below. Thank you, Prime, for watching. I appreciate all the support. Thank you, Prime, for watching, and I'm out.